happiness. I'm Amanda Maxham. That's Tsfany. And I'm really excited to talk to you today because it's Valentine's Day. I'm feeling totally disorganized and overwhelmed. But before we get to that, you've got some exciting things happening or coming up, and we should talk about that first in case people want to sign up for your live intense workshop. So you're having one in Israel, right?
Yes, actually, it's funny that the first one I'm going to do, face to face is going to be in Hebrew, but yeah, we're going to have it March 17th and 18th in Tel Aviv. Registration is already happening. Anyone who wants more information can go to myhappiness.team/apply, right?
Yeah, /apply. And you can indicate your interest in the workshop in Israel. I guess you have to speak Hebrew to really fully enjoy it.
You have to speak Hebrew in order to fully enjoy it. And the next one is going to be March 28th, 29th in London. And that's exciting as well. So if you're English speaking, come to London and do it. I'm actually thinking about doing another one in Atlanta on the 24th, 25th of March. But you know what? If anyone is interested in doing one in Atlanta, maybe they can go to the same URL and myhappiness.team/apply, and we'll have an Atlanta registration open as well.
Yeah, check the box to say I'm interested in coming to Atlanta.
So all of this knowledge condensed in the span of 2 5-hour days.
Wow. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. So it's called the Happiness Team Workshop,
Live.
Right? Live. Yeah. So if you've been enjoying the content here, it'll be intense, and you'll have a chance to meet other people who take their happiness seriously and try to work together to get somewhere, which is awesome. So speaking of trying to get somewhere, so last time we talked about black holes, which are, things that are negative in your life that you might want to think about more deeply, because they could indicate, something positive. Like, I realize I don't like filling out forms, and it's because I have this need for freedom. And the reason we were doing that is so that we could better fill out my value galaxy. And my value galaxy is a picture of who I am in essentials. It's like, what did you say? It's like the reflection of me. If I looked into a mirror and I saw myself in terms of values, right?
It's your subconscious, yes. What you react to, the value themes that really animate your life, what you get excited about, and so it's so wonderful to see how different that is for different people. Literally opposites sometimes,
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I bet there's lots of things in our value galaxies that are complete opposites, which is really cool. Okay. So I've been building this picture of myself, and sort of generally, I feel like I'm starting to see the world more in terms of values, like that there are things out there that I want and that I could go after, and I can think, oh, that's something that that's good for me, or nope, it's not my thing anymore. Like teaching, I thought I was good at it, and I did it for a long time, and now I think, but it's not really who I am, and not really what I respond to. So I should try to do less of that, or eliminate that. And that's really good. And my value galaxy is enormous, and it's got all sorts of things on there. And if it was a real galaxy and I was on the Starship Enterprise, there's no way I have time to go everywhere all the time. And like, honestly, it's got me feeling a little bit, like I said, overwhelmed and disorganized, because there's so much I want. Like, I'm thinking, now that I've got a taste of, like, I don't know, what is it? A taste of success, where it's like, I'm doing a podcast, and that's awesome. But now I'm like, oh, but I want a bigger house. I want to make more money. I want like better relationships. I want, I want the next big thing in my career. And that's great. But I also don't know what to do with all that. So
I would say first it's
please let your wisdom wash over me.
No, I just want to reflect, because first he said, that's great, but. So before the but, it's great. I mean, the fact that you're in a place where you want more, where you have the motivation and the state of mind of wanting more, that's an achievement. Just bringing yourself to a point where, like, I see more opportunity, I believe in myself more to want more. It actually, the prerequisite here is, like, you trust yourself to want more. You don't have those defense mechanisms that warn you from wanting more, because you might disappoint yourself, right? So it's a huge achievement for me. I'm just getting to the point of wanting more. And then comes the but, which is relevant. I mean, what do I do? I want so many things. So the way I think about taking the galaxy, the full galaxy of your values, and putting into a time and space that you can actually manage, is the next thing we need to do. I call it the value domain map. And the think about it this way. So you have a galaxy full of stars, full of values.
Yeah.
And they're all different types of different things, and they're all competing for one resource, which is your time. So the first thing we need to do is to organize them by the type of time that they require, right? So think about productive values. They need a specific type of time.
Yeah, it's going to take up a lot of time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
But,
okay.
But sometimes, on the weekend or at the late in the evening, you don't have energy to pursue those values, right? So there's more time to pursue other values. So the categories that I've mapped, and you can argue that there are many more categories, but the really big categories of the types of values and the time they require is the career and productive pursuits. Those are the main claimants on your time, as you know, the morning, all the way to the afternoon, your productive time, the 8-9 hours a day where you're like, I'm working, I'm achieving something, I'm applying myself towards a productive pursuit. And we talked about why this is the foundation. This is the source of your self-esteem, your wealth, and everything you can, offer to the world or offer to your relationships even. So that is one bucket. So we need one bucket called career-related or productive pursuit values. Then we have relationships. All of our relationships with different types of people, all the way from romantic relationship, family relationships, friends, and professional relationships, even colleagues or things like that. So all the people you come, you're interacting with for different purposes and for different values. So 4 different types of relationships within that quadrant of human relationships. You can even say not just human, but my dog is a relationship.
Okay, I was going to ask if your dog went into the relationships category or not.
Yeah, the animal part of that section. And then the third bucket is everything that has to do with health, rejuvenation, fun, and enjoyment of art, spiritual, rejuvenation. So think about the time that requires, right? The weekends, a vacation, the afternoons with friends, all the time you can relax and take more time to rejuvenate and recreate. So that is another bucket. And the fourth one is a little different. It's of a quadrant that actually gives you the time to pursue your values in the other quadrants. I call it the wealth creation bucket. And everything that you do requires time. And in order to buy the time, you need wealth, right? So if you're planning your life correctly, as it should be, your career pursuits are the ones creating your wealth, but not necessarily. I'll give you me as an example. Most of my money today is actually not coming from my pursuits, but more from my prior investments. So I buy my time and I create my wealth and my freedom and flexibility by being very value-oriented and purposeful in how I generate wealth in order to do what I want to do. Now, it's completely fine to be a teacher and make a salary and make ends meet, and that's fine. Save some money for a vacation and buying, the house and the car you want. But I think if you want a big life, you need more resources. So that is a quadrant that requires specific focus and knowledge.
Okay, so far we've got we've divided the world into 4 quadrants. And I have like so many questions about each quadrant.
Okay.
We definitely should talk about the relationships quadrant because it's Valentine's Day. But let's start with
I want to show you just
you got it.
I'll show you a visual just so we can.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying the wealth category is the one, it's like the fuel for my starship, right? It's the warp drive, got to keep it running.
Yeah.
And so that you can drive around. And it could be that the fuel comes from your career category or partially from that, but it might come from other things. Like, I sold my company this is not me, but if it was me, like maybe you sold your company 10 years ago and now you're sitting on a lot of, warp cores and you can go where you want now. Yeah.
So for me, it's just more flexibility and freedom. It's your happiness will not come from wealth. Wealth is just an enabler. This is why I see that bottom right category as an enabler for the other 3 that you want to pursue. Because again, health and rejuvenation requires time that you have to buy. If you want to take a 2-week vacation, how are you going to pay for it, right? And I hope for you that your career actually generates a lot of wealth as much as possible, right?
Yeah, me too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. And by the way, another thing is to learn how to make money is you can do the same exact activity packaged in a different way and make 10 times more than, for instance.
Oh yeah, wait, tell me how to do that.
So tell me what you want to do, and we'll think together how to make way more money. So instead, let's take a teacher, right?
Yeah.
A teacher can go and teach and get money from the 1 person or 5 or 20 that they're teaching.
Yeah.
Or they can record their content and try to market it to 1 million people and become a marketing expert while they're teaching and creating amazing content. So, or partnering with someone who knows how to market. And before you know it, the same content, same effort can generate way more. So it's just thinking about it. This is why I decided not to create like 3 domains on values and another one that is more like, let's make money. No, it's a set of values that you have to be focused on and work towards, which is how to make more money. Yeah, and
that requires creativity, like you're saying. And so it might be, how can I leverage what I'm doing now and 10x it, or maybe I need to, I don't know, make a change or go like start investing in things.
I'll give you another example. So when I came from Israel to America, I brought my money to the dealership and I said, I want to buy a car. Here's the money. And they said, why are you giving us the money? Finance it. And they said, why should I finance it? I have the money. I said, who wants to throw so much cash on a car? I was like, what are you talking about? And I couldn't understand what they're talking about. Only a couple of years later, I understood the beautiful idea of finance. I mean, let's say you have $100,000. You can go and buy a house. Let's say you have $100,000.
Let's stop there. That sounds pretty good. Okay. Got it.
And you can go and buy a house and live in it. Great. Okay. Why? Put $20,000 as a down payment. Buy $80,000 for 4% a year, whatever the bank will give you. Take the $80,000, buy 4 more houses. Okay, the bank will lend you as long as you put $20,000. Now you have 5 houses. Okay, if you take 4% mortgage a year on a 30-year, you will end up making $500 extra, and the tenants of those houses will pay the mortgage, the interest, and give you $500 a month. You're sitting on 5 houses, making $2,000 a month more, and all of those 5 houses appreciate tremendously over time. I rest my case. You can just put some effort into how to make more money, and suddenly you're accumulating wealth much faster.
So lots of ideas of how to make money in this realm. How do people typically go wrong in the wealth category?
They don't think about money. There's like, I'm making a living. I'm taking a salary. I sell my time. Good for me. I save a little bit. That's it.
What?
And then you feel choked because every big move that you want to make is impossible.
Yeah, it's
You're
always out of reach.
accumulating debt and responsibilities and kids and mortgages and stuff like that. And it's like, I can afford opening my own company. I don't have the wiggle room to stop working. I got the mortgage. What happens if I quit? Who's going to pay the mortgage? So you become almost like a prisoner sometime because you can't move financially. The expenses are there. You need to make ends meet, and the people are dependent on you. So wealth creation is important. I think educating young people to think about saving and investment earlier is very important, because you can work the same and make way more if you know how to manage money.
What about people who are like, that's all they care about is like, I want to make $1 million, but I don't know how I'm going to do it, or how, like, it doesn't matter to me how I do it, maybe, or something like that.
That's empty and hollow.
Okay.
Because, okay, I gave you the $1 million. Now you're happy?
No, probably then I would be like, no, but I need now another million. I don't know.
You take it.
I like this game.
You see, there's no meaning in it.
Why? Because I didn't earn it, or because I made that the goal?
Yeah, you didn't earn it. You didn't earn it. You didn't make it. And if that's your only goal, where's the fun? Unless you're a financier and seeing then you're adding value by allocating, the money to the right companies or the right channels. But if you say, it doesn't matter what I do, as long as I make $1 million, you're not doing anything for yourself. You're a slave to some rationalized idea that $1 million will make you happy. They won't.
Okay. Why? I mean, because I'd have a bunch of fuel to travel around my galaxy then.
And then do what? Let's say you got a spaceship and it's full of fuel.
Yeah, awesome.
And so I want a spaceship full of fuel, and you're fueling and fueling and fueling and fueling, and it's full. That's it. As long as you don't have a purpose of where to go, why go there, what should I do there? Like, what's the point? So people say, yeah, I'll retire. And do what? So I got friends who say, yeah, I'm saving so I can retire. And then I go into like, okay, let's go into detail of what you're going to do when you retire. And they say, I'll play golf. And say, okay, you played golf from 8 to 10 a.m. Now what? And then I'll take painting. Okay, do you like painting? Yes. Do you want to do it seriously? No. So what do you really want? And then after like 10, 20 minutes, you suddenly realize that there's something they're passionate about, and they can't wait to do it. And it's productive. And then you ask them, why not do it now? Why wait till you're 70 and, start getting old? I say, okay, because I got a job. It's like, make that your job. And then there are the risks involved and the investment. And you see that people my age are already like set in their ways and like, no, it's going to be too hard, too many risks. It'll take a lot of money, and so on and so forth. So I would say that chasing money is not only empty and hollow, it destroys this value orientation that is needed, that we started with. Like, I want things from me. My life here is limited. I see it as a sandbox of opportunities. I just go and do it. The only real limited resource that you have is not fuel or money. It's the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And I see money as buying time. That's the way I see it.
You mean like if I had money, then I could choose to use my time how I wanted. Yeah.
Let's say you wanted to start, the next, I don't know, amazing podcast. But you need the time, right? You need the time to go research and fly, meet people, interview them. Who's going to pay for all of this, right? So yeah, it just allows you to buy the time. Instead of making your food, have somebody else make it for you, save time, right? And so on.
Yeah. So I guess that brings me back to the career category, because you touched on this if you're retired, or I don't know, you make a pile of money and then what are you going to do? It's like, you said something before about your self-esteem primarily comes from that first category of the career and productive purpose.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell me more about that. So it seems it's the most important category in that way. You have to have it.
Let's play a scenario, okay?
Okay.
You and I are going on a blind date together.
Oh, sweet.
We met for the first time. And I'm asking you, hey, Amanda, nice to meet you. I'm Tal. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah.
What would you say?
I would say, okay, so you taught me how to do this. So, you taught me to introduce myself in terms of values. So
Right.
other things. So I would say, I'm Amanda. I might give you a little bit more information. Like I'm an astrophysicist, but I might say something like, I love telling stories, and I'm lucky enough to get to do that for, as part of my career. I have a podcast, and what I love about making the podcast is I get to tell stories painted in sound, which is my favorite thing to do.
Okay, so let's pause.
Okay.
Stop the video for a second. What did you just tell me?
I told you deep things that are deeply meaningful to me.
In what category?
Career.
You see, because that's the source. This, if you want to impress me,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you want to trade virtue with me, which is love, we should at one point talk about love because it's Valentine's Day today. Then the source you go to is, how are you manifesting your humanity in life? And manifesting your humanity is manifesting how you take your conceptual mind and apply that towards creating something of value with the power of your vision in reality. This is what makes you you. This is what's going to impress me. This is what going to allow me to choose if I want to spend more time with you or not. So when I say it's the most important, I mean it. I mean, it funds other, the fact that you're creating value, and most of your wealth usually comes from a career pursuit. It funds other things. It just tells me who you are and what you can bring to the table.
Yeah, it's actually the thing that I'm most interested in when I meet somebody new is, I want to know what you do for a living. Like that's, and then I'm like, okay, now I get this person a little bit, or I like to listen how they talk about it. So some people will be like, they love talking about what they do, and other people are like, they're not that interested.
So you see that is so deep. I mean, it's not just the values that you pursue, but how you go about pursuing them. Your attitude towards values. So it's really a combination of how purposeful is that person, how passionate are they, how courageous they are in saying, yeah, that's what I want and I'm doing it. What if I introduce myself and say, hi, Amanda, I'm Tal. I love racing and I love playing the drums. I got my weekend band and we're having so much fun. And then you ask me, so what do you do? And it's like, I manage IT projects. They're not that interesting. It's in the billing space, and it's just drag. I don't know. I'm trying to pass Monday to Friday as fast as I can, so I can, what would you think about me?
I would feel sad for you.
Yeah.
I'd be like, okay, so he knows something that he loves, but he only gets to do it on the weekends, and then his job he doesn't really like. So that's probably the most of his time. It must be hard life.
It'll be impossible for you to love me. I'm saying more than that. I mean, who wants to marry someone who's giving up, not pursuing their dreams, not courageous enough to say, forget about the money. I'm going to go do it and take the risks. I might get lost, but I might find a treasure in the forest while I'm out there getting lost. And again, I'm going to my advice to 20-year-olds who are like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm going to major in and I'm going to go and blah, blah. It's like, you don't know. How would you know? You don't know the world. You haven't traveled it. You haven't experienced it. You haven't worked in a restaurant. You haven't worked in you say you want to be a lawyer. Have you been to a court in your life? Have you seen a judge? Have you talked to a lawyer? Do you want to be an MD? Did you spend time in the emergency room? Do you know exactly what department and why? And do you know if that's all just a rationalization because you saw a nice TV show about something?
Yeah, you
Go
don't really know
explore,
what it's
get
actually like.
lost. Yeah, make some money and take a backpack and travel. Go interview people, go talk to them, go try things, get your hands dirty. So that's kind of the path of building a soul that I think at the end of the day, we're talking about love, is worthy of love. Maybe I'll put the quote right now if you're okay with it, because I love
Let's see
quote. So I want to give Rand's definition or just a quote about love. She says the following. Let me take that down so we can see it. He says, romantic love, in the full sense of the term, is an emotion possible only to the man or woman of unbreached self-esteem. It is his response to his own highest values in the person of another, an integrated response of mind and body, of love and sexual desire. Such a man or woman is incapable of experiencing a sexual desire divorced from spiritual values. And I want to tell you something. I remember reading something in Atlas about love. Mm. And I literally dropped the book. Because before that, love was this abstract, almost mystical thing that happens to you, right?
Yeah,
where
like
you fall in love with someone.
It's like people think about it as mysterious, right?
Yeah,
it's so
it
kind of happens.
Yeah.
We don't know why. Like,
yeah,
actually,
who knows?
Men, they're like, well, they're always wondering, like, what am I going to do to screw this up? Because it's like magic, and I don't know how to control the magic. But you're saying it's not like that at all.
Yeah, the mystery of love and all. It's just, and suddenly someone is telling me, no, this is what it is. It's an exchange of virtues. And it's a reflection of your virtues and virtues in another person, all the way from the way they look and what they project from their sense of life to the content of their brain and, how they talk and what they talk about and what they're interested in. It was so profound. I remember I was blown away by, I remember that was the first point when I really understood what philosophy really means. Of taking things we see for granted and live every day, but not stopping to understand their true nature. It was like a discovery where someone says, oh, the apple falls down to the ground. I wonder why. It's like love. I'm loving someone. I wonder why. And I did not have the answer for it.
Yeah, that is profound. Like philosophy is like that, where you start, it's good. Like you start questioning the things in your life that you've taken for granted, even things like words that you thought you knew what they meant.
Yeah.
Like love. And then you realize, oh, there's a meaning behind this that I didn't understand. And actually, I also assume that, I don't know, maybe you had an idea about love that was, came from the culture that is not healthy, right?
Well, a lot of it was not. And again, going back to the 20, you're expected, at least from my culture, you're choosing your life partner when you're, in my case, I was 19 or 20 or 22. It's like, how would you know? And what kind of relationship can you have at that point where can you make a commitment for life? Because in Israel, at least where I grew up, it's like, you're 25 and you're not married? What does that mean? Are you like nobody wants you? Yeah. So America is much, much better from that perspective. Yeah. And I'm happy to see that people are not getting married early. They're waiting till they know themselves and they know what to expect out of life, and they're financially stable, so they can make commitments about having kids and buying a house and things like that. It's much smarter.
So you're like that quote that you read from Rand about romantic love. So you're saying, like, when you love someone, it's like looking into a mirror and you see yourself in some way, but it's not you, it's somebody else and all of their complexities and their.
Do you feel like that? I don't feel like I'm looking at myself at all. I'm looking at someone who projects something different than me, but something I admire. I
Yeah,
mean,
okay.
I don't know about, I'm a man, so there's someone about, femininity that is so captivating to me. I mean, it's yin and yang for me. I'm always about doing things and finding solutions for things and trying to break down things and engineering it and finding solutions, what to do next. And a lot of women that I know are like, wait a second, we're here. How are you feeling about this? How are you feeling now? Do you remember when we did this? How did you feel about it? It's like, I don't remember. And there's something so beautiful about a different way of perceiving and experiencing life that I find in the other gender that is wonderful. I would love to be more like that, but I'm not. And I admire that, the ability to sense things in a very deep way, to emote and to even remember, for me, because when you're feeling things, you remember the sensations and the feelings. And I do I do remember a lot of things where there's a lot of emotional connection to. Some people, especially women, are much, much better than I am in that. And it's beautiful and it's sexy. I mean, I think just to see someone projecting herself in a specific way, with being virtuous and honest and straightforward. For instance, being straightforward for me is a virtue.
Mm-hmm.
When I moved to the United States, all this sugarcoating everything, I was like, I don't understand. Say what you want to say. So for me, that's maybe a reflection of me and somebody else. It's like, don't sugarcoat anything, please. Just say it as authenticity and directedness. And so it's a combination. It's the things I want to be, but again, projected in someone else, and everything that they are that I'm not, that I admire.
Yeah. I was gonna say also, I also really like when people are straightforward with me, because I grew up in the Midwest, where it's hard to understand what people are trying to tell you, because if they don't like something, they tell you it's unique and different, and you're supposed to like interpret this really subtle message as they don't like it or it's bad.
I've done a cultural gap workshop before I moved from Israel to the United States, and they said, let us translate an American sentence to Hebrew. So if your boss calls you and says, I think we might have a slight problem with this, and we might want to fix it, just think about fixing it. In Hebrew, it would sound like, hey, you got a really big problem. You don't fix it, I'm going to fire you next week. Okay, got it? Get out. That's the interpretation of an American way of saying things to Israeli.
Yeah, that's good. I like the letter. It's like, okay, now I know what to do. I can understand what you want.
Like, don't waste my time. Tell me what you mean.
Okay, so how, so we got these 4 categories, and one of them is relationships, and there's lots of different types of relationships. I'm trying to get an idea of like significance here. We talked about the significance of the career category, like that's sort of defines who you are. And if you don't have that, you don't have a sense of self, and maybe you won't do as well in the relationship category, because you're not a full or a whole person. But
not necessarily. I think, again, in different parts of your life, you have different levels of things to offer. And so the relationships, like you can have a girlfriend at 17, it's going to be great. And
I see.
At 19 and 21, and that's fine. You're evolving, your relationships are evolving, you become more complex and nuanced, and so are your relationships and your expectations from the partner, and so on. So it's an evolution. But there are many different types of relationships, right? Romantic love is one of them. But I think people sometimes underestimate the power of deep friendships.
Yeah.
I mean, I have not many, but some friends that are so valuable to me. I mean, they're like pillars for me. They know things, they put their perspective that I can rely on. Just knowing that whenever I need someone to talk to, I can pick up the phone. It just adds such a big dimension to life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the relationships category is also really, really important.
Mhm.
But now
Well,
I've got,
I would say depending on when, right? I can see areas or periods in my life where I say, no, I'm all in on my work.
okay.
And so I say bye to all my friends. Sorry, not going to call you for several months. You can call me and ask how I'm doing, but I'm all in on my startup, right? So, and it's fine. It's not a duty to maintain relationships. You can decide how those 4 quadrants that I talked about are balancing themselves out. And sometimes it's fine to be all in on one and almost be impoverished on the others. But I think all in all, in a life's perspective, you want to enjoy all of those things. It's like having more taste buds in your mouth to experience life. If you decide, oh, friendships are not, you're losing. You're just missing out on values you can have. So a lot of people tell me I don't really have a really good friendship. And I say, why not? It's like, I don't know. And so, think about it, plan it. Imagine a great friend, a best friend. Who are they? Maybe you have someone that you would love to have as a best friend, but you've never told them that you want to be their best friend. Did you open up? Did you ask? Did you invite them to open up to you? And a lot of things you can do to have those values.
Yeah. So I find that it's difficult. I don't know. It seems difficult to pursue those types of things. Like okay, so say you wanted a best friend. Like, wait, how do you go about doing that? Like, what's your advice for this?
Okay, scenario number 2, Amanda. We're gonna work with scenarios today.
Okay,
so you want a best friend.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know anyone in your life that could be your best friend?
Yeah. Well, yes. Yeah.
Okay. What would it take? What would it take, or what's in the way of them becoming your best friend?
I don't know. I guess nothing. Like, so I would it just have to say, hey, let's be best friends?
Yeah, there are more subtle ways to do it, but yeah, well, you might find out that they don't want to be your best friend, and that's fine. And you can think about other candidates.
Oh,
but
okay. Then what do you do? You put an ad out on Craigslist?
Looking for a best friend. No, I think people. Different people can serve different purposes in your life. So I have several best friends, but in different categories. When I feel like that, I call that person. When I need advice from that perspective, I call that person. If I need to be grounded, I know that there's a person that I can call that really can ground me. There's a couple of best friends that all they serve is having fun. Just they share the same kind of hobbies. It's like, let's go play tennis, let's go ski, let's go play poker together. And they will, so they don't have to be like best friends, but categories of friends. And yeah, it's great to have them.
All right.
And be a friend, by the way. Come with an open mind. Yeah, be a friend.
Oh, you mean just like be the friend you want to be, and then
yeah
make the first move, in other words.
Yeah, I don't think you can be the friend you want to be because you don't know what the other guy or person needs. But yeah, invest in it because it's fun to be a good friend. I remember that there was one person who I really admired, and I was like, I had a really respectful relationship with them. And then one day we had lunch, just a very professional, and he said something about his marriage. And I'm like, whoa, this guy is telling me something about his marriage. What does that mean? And then I asked him more questions and more questions. By the end of it, we hugged. And he became a friend. And I was like, there were months and maybe even years when I knew that person, but I never thought, why don't I offer him to open up, and talk about more personal things? It was on a professional level. So you'll be surprised.
Okay, so you're saying you're looking for opportunities, or being sensitive to opportunities, and trying to make something out of it.
And ask. People love when you ask them. Yeah. Worst case scenario, they will say no. It will hurt a little bit, but the yeses you'll get are so much worth it. Yeah.
Okay, so back to this value domain map. Mm-hmm. I've got career and relationships and wealth creation. There's a fourth category even, which we can go into, but I'm already feeling like, great, well, how do I prioritize all this stuff? Because there's a lot of things to pursue that are all seem like really deeply meaningful. Like a career is deeply meaningful, relationships are deeply meaningful. I want the fuel to do all the cool stuff that I want to do.
So
that's only three categories.
The reason why this table is not filled with 20 per category is that I really think, and it could be like top 3, that you should be aware of the top values in each category, and that should really cover 80-90% of your time. If you're pursuing too many things, especially in your career domain, you're unfocused, and you need to be focused. You need to direct your energy into specific directions. So I would say find a meaningful career path, find few meaningful relationships, find several hobbies and things you love as far as your rejuvenation activities, your art, the art that you like, and then find a few revenue generate or wealth generating strategies. And that is more than enough for a fulfilled life. The nice thing about this map that it changes over time. So I have in front of me a whiteboard, a glass whiteboard that is with my value galaxy and my domain map. And I see them both as a living organisms. The value galaxy is an ever-changing network of things where things lose value or gain value. I discover new things, I discover new connections, new possibilities of new values that come out of my value themes connected together. And some of the values are becoming bigger and bigger and more interesting as I chew on them. And some of them find their way to my value map. My value map is a very selective, filtered list of things that are actually describing the life I'm living right now. I mean, most of the time is spent on one of those things. So this morning I worked, of course, with projects at ARI, developing the Ayn Rand University and making it better and bigger, right? So this is one of the key things I'm doing in my productive career. The relationship I have in my life, of course, I just talked to my daughter who's in Israel and spent an hour with her just to see how she's doing. Everything I've just planned what I'm going to do in the weekend and how I'm going to spend it. And I had a call about my investment. I have investment houses, and one of them in the morning I had to refinance. So you see, and it's all in my value map. I mean, most of what you're doing should be centered around things, and it's not too much. I mean, you can hold 2-3 top values in each category, and that is huge. I mean,
all right. So you create your value galaxy because that's the picture of who you are and what you respond to
and what's possible.
And what's possible?
Yeah, everything that you would want to go after. I mean, things in my value galaxies are things I don't have yet.
Okay.
I want to write a fiction book. I'm not starting that project yet. I'm not ready for it.
So that's not on your map yet?
No, it's in my galaxy, but not on my map.
Okay. So you decide what goes from your galaxy to your map based on
time.
So it's the fourth dimension. You're adding another dimension.
We're always back to physics somehow. The intersection of physics, philosophy, and engineering. Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe let's talk about the fourth category then. Because we haven't talked about that one. And it is Valentine's Day. Maybe people are doing rest and or health and rejuvenation activities today as well. Like, what are the types of things that go in here? You said vacations. What else? Yeah.
So everything you're doing to stay healthy, both physically and spiritually. So it can be about your nutrition, your exercise regime that you decided to follow, the art that you consume, the music I saw a Pat Metheny concert a couple of days ago, and it was just amazing. I came out, I don't know, elevated. So
tell me more about this. Who's Pat Metheny?
So Pat Metheny is a jazz guitar player, and I love his slow pieces. They're so romantic. I mean, you can dance slow to them in the dark, and it's just beautiful. And I went and I just popped out with my Ticketmaster email, and I just bought the tickets on, a day before, and I drove them by myself. There was only one ticket left in the middle. I was sitting in, and I was elevated. So yeah, so this is the domain of all of the fun activities, all the things that really refuel your soul with, for me, heroism, reading, listening to music, and just relaxing. I mean, watching something on Netflix, or going to play poker with my friends on a Thursday night and having laughs and a beer. There's a lot of stuff that is all around recharging.
So, I mean, you talked about the wealth category being kind of the fuel for your, that buys you time, or like, that so you can go places in your value galaxy. But it sounds like the health and rejuvenation category is a bit similar. Or what is it, like spiritual fuel?
It is spiritual fuel, and it's, your mind is like a muscle. It needs relaxation and just stretching a little bit, when you work it a lot. So it's both of those things. It's spiritual fuel, but also just the relaxation is part of what's needed for you to go back and apply your muscle again, right? Yeah. So yeah, all those things.
Tell me about art, because they said that's in this category. And so you're saying like an enjoyment of art or something should be part of your life? Why is that important?
Well, first I have to say that before discovering objectivism, I didn't know what art is, what it means, and the same reaction of dropping the book when I read about love with Atlas, I had multiple times when I read the Romantic Manifesto. Like, boom, now I understand why I need this. Why am I responding? Why am I crying in a movie? What is going on? So yeah, it's just so important. And it's like the taste buds I talked to you about. Some people cannot imagine their lives without friends, but they have no appreciation of art. And I would say, just imagine your life without friends to them. That's what you're missing out in art. The appreciation now of sculpture and music, and now classical music that I didn't know before. It's just new things that you discover, and it allows you to want more. So going back to what you started with, like, I'm in a position where I want more out of life. That's what I feel like art gives me. It's the, when I see a sculpture and it just brings out the beauty of life and the grandeur of man, I feel like I want more. I want to be more. And that's a fuel that I guess I didn't have enough before I really understood what art is all about. And so, and it's very idiosyncratic. I mean, I wouldn't listen too much to what other people are telling you. I would listen a lot to what they say that moves them. Try it out a couple of times, see if it works for you. So people recommended movies and music and all those kind of things, and I read and I just don't like them. But from time to time, somebody recommends something. It's like, oh my God, I didn't know that existed. So it's experimenting. And I always listen when somebody says, oh, the best book I've ever read or the best movie I've ever seen. I try it out. And I love sharing mine.
All right. So it's important to figure out, so you watch something or you see a painting. This actually was one of the things that first blew my mind about objectivism. So I went to a club meeting on a college campus, and they said everyone should bring their favorite piece of art with them, like their favorite painting, or like, I don't know, print out of their favorite painting. And I did. I brought, it's a painting called Springtime by Pierre Auguste Co, which is spelled C-O-T. So if you want to look it up and see like a super romantic painting for Valentine's Day, look it up. And we talked about art, and at the end they were saying that, you know, like art is like you respond to a piece of art that you like because it's a reflection of your values, like the way that you see the world or the way that you would want the world to be. And so I was a little bit taken aback, or actually kind of angry about this. And I said, really? So what you're saying is that I want to be on a bench and like on a swing with this in this romantic setting? And the guy's like, yeah, you do. It's like, actually, yeah, I do. So yeah.
You know what I just hanged on my living room? You know, the fearless girl that stands in front of the bull in Wall Street?
Yeah.
Where she stands like this.
Mm-hmm.
I have a huge poster of her and the bull facing each other. And I look at it and I smile every time I pass, because I love that girl. I love the fearlessness of her, and she's just amazing. The way she stands, the posture, and the raging bull looking at her.
It's coming. She's just like, nope,
she's
I'm
like,
here.
I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
And so the whole sense of I can face life. Nothing can bring me down. I can dare, right? It's so important, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, we're about out of time, but I want to give thanks to the super chat. Jean Walters says, money to add more colors to Amanda's mic setup. You want more colors in this? It's pretty like Valentine's Day themed over here. Thank you, Jean. Kathleen says, I have been in love before, but my values evolved and I had to move on. I miss it. Hopefully another day, but I'm not sad. It's good to know thyself.
Mm-hmm.
That is good. And then
don't
Jonathan,
stop looking.
What? Yeah, don't
stop looking. I would say if you don't have a love, just defining exactly what you want, think about where you can get it, and go out and get it.
Okay, it's good advice.
Yeah.
And then Jonathan Honig, thank you. He's awesome. I'm glad he's listening.
By the way, Jonathan, I have to tell you, your last book is just beautiful. I have it here.
Oh.
Here it is. I'll just say, I think it's a great design. So
yeah, I love the cover.
Kudos for that.
Sweet.
Okay.
All right. Well, happy
Go
Valentine's
love
Day.
someone.
Yeah, go do it.
Thank you.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye-bye.